Good day, everybody, and to our viewers, welcome back. Welcome back to another Whisper. This is our show where we explore whispers, and as you can see on the screen, if you take a look, Kirsten is back, so welcome, Kirsten.
Hello, thank you, Rory.
Thank you very much. And for everybody, our guest today is Professor Shirley Zinn. So thank you very much for joining us, Shirley. You are very welcome to our show. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me, Rory and Kirsten. Wonderful to be in this space.
Absolutely, thank you. And Shirley, I'm going to get back to you in a moment. But before we kick off the interview, I just wanted to remind our viewers and thank the viewers that have already subscribed, and just remind them that if they enjoy this video, press the like button. And for those of you that this is your first video, subscribe and press like if you enjoy it. And if you're here and you don't know what this is about, what is Whisper? I'm a little bit lost. Who are these people? How do I connect with them? I'm going to ask Kirsten if you could just take a second or two, Kirsten, and just maybe position Whisper and what we're kind of trying to accomplish here.
Thanks, Rory. Yes, what we're trying to accomplish here is we are exploring and sense-making, co-creating, looking at alternative forms of knowledge, validating alternative forms of knowledge, and really trying to discover what allows people to make sense and meaning in their lives, what gives them that little sparkle, that little whisper they hear that allows them to achieve the greatness that flows through them. People talk about reinventing themselves all the time. Yes, how? Why? What did you hear that made you rise above your challenges or that made you so creative? And I can't wait to hear from Professor Shirley Zinn. She is really highly regarded in the business and human resources community, and I'm so excited to have you here today, Shirley.
Thank you so much, Kirsten.
Thank you. So yes, just quickly as a preamble, for those of you who've been living on the moon, Shirley Zinn has her doctorate from Harvard University in education. Published a book in 2016 called Swimming Upstream, and it's a biography about a life of challenges and overcoming challenges, and being able to just spread your wings and fly. So I'm not going to go into the rest. Like I was actually thinking of doing a detailed, but then I started just looking at all the boards that you actually are on as a non-executive director, and I thought I'd be here for most of the afternoon, and all the awards. I would probably be here for most of the afternoon. So to the viewers, there will be links in the description where you can go to the various social media sites and you can get all of the details in terms of Shirley's illustrious career. So that will definitely be there. So to kick off today's session, I'm going to confess, Shirley, I obviously have interacted with you in the past. Indirectly, I reported kind of into you within an HR structure at Standard Bank many years ago when you were a director there. And what I did is, out of interest, I started phoning a whole lot of people that you've worked with before. And I'm not going to share names. And I phoned people at Nedbank, I phoned people at Standard Bank, and other people that you've either studied with or interacted with. And I just wanted to find out. It wasn't even a question. What I did is I just started a conversation with them, touched sides with them, and then I mentioned your name. And this is particularly the reaction that I got 100% of the time. People were caught up in their days. They were busy doing whatever they were doing. And here I'd phoned them to interrupt them to talk about something completely different. And then I mentioned your name and their demeanors changed immediately. All of them gave me a smile and they were like, oh, Shirley Zinn, what a wonderful person, or similar type of kind of feedback or reactions. It was incredible. And one of my favorite sayings comes from Maya Angelou, who said, I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And at the end of the 8 or 9 people that I'd spoken to, I realized that you make people feel differently. You leave them feeling very positive about themselves. And I wanted to know, to start off, where does that whisper come from? Where did you get that ability? Where does that whisper come from?
Rory and Kirsten, thank you so much once again for having me here. And Rory, thank you for that little research that you did.
360, yeah, 360.
But I'm truly honored by what you're saying. And, I haven't really, I haven't really done anything specific to get to that point. But I think what is very, very important and what has always been important to me is my connectivity with people, is that energy of nurturing and building very good relationships with people and honoring who they are and where they come from, and always thinking about, I suppose, my gift has been around how do I unlock human potential. And so ended up in my career, starting off as a teacher, continuing to study through very difficult circumstances as outlined in the book, and taking the messages that my family, my parents, started to plant those seeds in my mind from a very, very early age. And I've tried to embrace it as much as I could. And then, life happens and challenges and adversity and trauma come our way. And my question always was, I needed to dig deep into my soul to really figure out what is my purpose, what is my meaning. When I get up in the morning, what is the thing that drives me to do the things that I do, to say the things that I say, and what is that inner voice that is ever present in terms of enabling me to step out of my comfort zone, to find the resilience deep within myself, to say I am going to no matter what difficulty comes, I'm going to find this capacity and the hope to turn the test into a testimony, if you like, to turn the misfortune and the tragedy not into being further diminished, but to being a further enhanced human being. And I want to share this energy because I can actually feel that energy every day emitting from myself to others and from others to myself. And because we cannot walk this journey on our own. So there's the internal transformative work that one needs to do, and then there's the external. I always say to people, we inherit people, we inherit family and friends and colleagues, but we can deliberately choose who we surround ourselves with. And if we choose a few people that can uplift and inspire us every day, then between our own internal energy and that digging deep capability and that ability to reach out in a safe space to people who love and care for us. And I think, Rory, in a world in which we live in today, you want to talk about love and care more and more, because I think we try to not talk about it because it's soft and mushy and it's not everybody's cup of tea, and we've got to be tough in this world. It's going to have impact, and this is the way we've been socialized. But I want to say I've discovered more and more when I tap into that energy with people, it's deeper, it's fun, it's enjoyable, and it's nurturing and sustainable and endearing. And for me, that is the fulfillment that comes every day. When I put my head down, I can say, what a joy it is to be alive, despite the challenges.
Wow, that's quite intense. So can I just ask one thing of what you've said now? You said you've dug deep and you've listened to that inner voice. Can I ask you, if it's not too personal, what does your inner voice actually sound like? What does it sound like in your ears? How does it sound to you?
It depends what's going on, Rory. So it can be a very strong intuitive feeling or a steer that's not often describable, but it's there in a very powerful way. So there's the loud, cues and energy, if you like, and then there's the deeply silent, reflective thoughts, and it's very interesting. So when I did my when you go for interviews and all of these things, that you now do these assessments, and they say, oh, but you're an introvert, and so I'm kind of like, okay, wow, all right, we do have boxes that we build ourselves into here, but everything I do takes me right outside of that zone every single day. So I'm a introverted extrovert, if you like, if you can understand. And what I've discovered also, that this inner voice it shows the paradox, it shows the the silence, how powerful silence is. It shows how strong intuition can be. It shows you when, and I'll never forget the tragedy of and the devastation of losing our only child in a terrible accident, and being seriously damaged myself physically and mentally and spiritually, and trying to lift myself out of that, and having to spend time with oneself, thinking about, reflecting on, and mobilizing oneself using every single mental and emotional resource that you have available to you. And when I say spiritual, I'm not putting a religion across it. I'm just saying, just finding that deep inner ability that becomes a habit after a while. And we often don't find the quiet to listen to ourselves, and sometimes the voice is very loud, but we're still not listening. And so the ability to listen, the ability to empathize, the ability to have compassion, and the ability to live with impact and have the magic of all our talent and our potential unleashed, for me, is one of the most powerful things that I think can happen to a human being. And I think we're always in a sense, we in a process of becoming, being and becoming, if you like, because we grow every day. This whole life is an educational experience. You can have the doctorate from Harvard. Let me tell you, you need to learn and remain teachable every day, because otherwise, these silent thoughts, this strong expressions that you're able to give because of those, and listening to those around you, taking that holistic view, and being able to dissect the the um, the the the, the, the deepest possible messages that will shift not only your life but others, and also replacing the negative with the positive, which is really what this world needs today. There are so many things going on right now, and it's a huge muddle, and it's very, very messy. And there's so much research around about how much this COVID, this pandemic, the other parallel pandemics that are happening in the world, has impacted on us as human beings. And there's a lot to filter and process every day. And it's really so important just to quieten ourselves down and make meaning of our lives, so that we can get up the next day and we can be energized and refreshed to take on what comes next.
Sure.
I wonder if I can ask you, Shirley, in your quietening down and making meaning, and I love the way that you voiced that. What is your go-to kind of strategy for doing that? What do you practically do when you realize, oh my word, I need to quieten down and make meaning? Is there something specific that you personally do over other activities to enable yourself to get into that space?
It's I love being in the space, I must say, because I spend a lot of time talking and engaging and with lots of people, and everything's about decision making and impact and mindfulness and awareness of the decisions that you're taking and what is going to unravel around it. But I think that for me, when I finally settle down, I want to almost tangibly feel that quiet. I love the quiet. I like to listen to the wind and the waves and the and just kind of be at one in a space like this. So I love to go hiking, mountain walking, beach walking, simple little things in life. My husband, my injuries from the accident were so bad, I was not even supposed to be alive, never mind be walking around. Put me on the road about 10 years ago, and now I'm still trying to do my 10th Two Oceans Half Marathon. I'm hoping to do
Wow.
that.
Yes.
And
Wow.
it's the time, because we missed it this year because of COVID. So between the running and the hiking and the exploration and the outdoors, which we both love to do, and our son Jamie loved it as well. For me, that is the ultimate way to find those little nuggets of expression in terms of the introspection and some of the inner work. And I think it's so important to know what brings you joy, so that you can do the things that you need to do to find it. And we don't have to be rich. We don't have to have a lot of material acquisitions in order to feel that, because when you've done this full cycle, it comes down to very, very simple things, like just laughing and being with family and being with friends and enjoying a meal and the walk, and I sit here in the study. I've been here for the entire COVID, and I can see the mountain and the blue sky. And when you say taking the light, I literally take in the light because I'm energized by that.
It's so
And
brilliant.
there's something between being at this level or in this zone, but also being anchored in what is rational and real and what's going on around you, and getting the balance of all that right. And yes, there are roadblocks. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. This is not pie in the sky. We are in a real world that is fraught with all sorts of complexities. We're standing on the edge almost all the time these days. But I will run or cycle or dance or do something like that to give, to alleviate the discontent and the negativity that comes. So the message really is that yes, there are a lot of things that can take us down, but there are a lot of ways that you can uplift yourself, and others around you as well, to be positive, to be optimistic, and to do something every day, to have an impact on the world and others, even if it's a tiny thing. We don't have to go and change the world. Not all of us are designed for that, but we can live our lives truly, authentically, and to the full, in whatever way we feel fit.
My goodness.
Absolutely.
So that's such a beautiful answer. So my question to you, and it just comes out of what you were saying, and if you do dance and you kind of let your hair down and you kind of, what type of music do you listen to? What's your favorite type of music too?
I'm quite eclectic because I did a lot of dance in my time. So I did ballet growing up, all the way from primary school to high school. So
Okay.
I
Oh,
love the
wow.
classics. As foreign as that was in my upbringing, the funny part is, and I'm digressing, my mother worked at Reader's Digest, and she used to bring these books, and they used to have all those old LPs, and now and again staff would get bits and pieces of it, and I just used to love listening to that, and I still do. And then it's kind of, then I went to Latin jazz, and I went to ballroom, and I did aerobics dancing, so just everything like to the beats, you know.
Oh
And then
my
it was
goodness.
just free flow, and then it just like complete, you know, I can just dance freely without having worrying about anybody watching, you know. It's just like dance like no one's watching. By yourself, whoever wants to do it with you, and it's just the joy of that release, you know. And I was at listening to some live music, which we have, you know, not had for many months now. There were two musicians and just a few people, and I had to say to him after that, I said to him, "You'll never believe how wonderful that was for me." It was therapeutic. It was. Um, I wanted to jump up and dance, and he said, "Why didn't you?" I said, "Oh, people might think I'm crazy, but it's such a beautiful medium to be in." And when you find those zones, and I can freestyle through them, it lifts me up to do, you know, all of the things that I have to do every single day. So yeah, and I know I'm kind of, you know, moving into a space that is a complex thing to explain, but I do want to say that it's so important to feel deeply. It's so important to give expression. It's so important to not always be worried about the judgment or what somebody might think. It's also, you want also be careful to not be silly, but I think it's so important to, um, you know, to have your enthusiasm just blow over sometimes about something and to give expression to it. Most of us are holding back on those things all the time because we worry, we have fears and anxieties about what people think, what people will say, what people will do. But I think if everything is couched in your principles and in your values that are very deep rooted and anchored, I think that you know, you can just be the very best that you can be. And I've learned this a long time ago because I also at one point thought I could be perfect, but I realized that there are many flaws,
Yeah.
and it's actually okay. No, you don't have to be sorry and regretful about every little mistake you make. It's just, you know, if you've done something, just be humble enough to apologize or fix it or do what you need to do and move on. I think a lot of us get stuck in that space. And again, I just want to encourage people that we have immense propensity within ourselves to overcome seriously calamitous situations of our own making or others, and we need to, somebody calls it productive perseverance, we need to find that ability within ourselves, because I think as human beings we have and these are words of my matric teachers, you know, you have the potential to do so much more than you think you are doing. Whatever it is you think you are doing, you have the potential to do a lot more, and it's just wonderful to be able to live at that level and authentically and kind of, you know, make sure that you are feeling deeply, and that you are letting people know how they make you feel. If they make you feel good, say it, you know. So I think that all my experiences have been building blocks for me to arrive at these conclusions, and I just want to share it as widely with people because I want to inspire hope, especially in these difficult days.
Thank you for that. You know what I loved is as soon as you started talking about dance, I could see your little inner child come out. It was there.
Thank
Kirsten, you
you.
wanted to ask a question.
Yeah, Shirley, I wanted to ask you, you're about to present at this HR conference tomorrow. I think it's a 2-day, very big conference. I'm sure people are going to love it. What do you want people to walk away with in their hearts in terms of the experience of the HR conference? What would you like people to leave there knowing and feeling?
So one of the questions that I've been reflecting on for tomorrow's talk, bearing in mind that I think it's at 9 tomorrow that I have to speak. I can't even stay until the end of the session because I have a board meeting that starts at 10. And so I'm going to have to say my piece and be sharp and succinct and then into a board meeting for the rest of the day. So what, one of the things was, one of the questions was, what is keeping HR professionals up at night? What is keeping leadership up at night? What is keeping our employees up at night? And how organizations responding to this? And again, the big shining light through all of that is that there are many, many things for us to be worried about. A lot of it is around, for businesses now, it's about cost cutting, it's about austerity, it's about restructure and retrenchment, and whether we're going to give any rewards or bonuses or increases. How do we deal with the trade unions? For me, the really higher purpose stuff is what is really important here. And so I've been, I'm saying, despite all of those realities that we face and the real chance that we will not be able to sustain our businesses into the future, given our economic challenges, which are very, very complex here in South Africa today, especially. I want people to leave with a sense of, yes, the modern mind is faced with constant stress and strain and demand and distraction and negativity and anxiety and uncertainty. And that's the nature of the world that we are living in right now. And yes, there will be things that will keep us awake, whether they be personal or whether they be professional. But there also is another flip side to this. In this crisis, there are amazing opportunities for us to find ourselves and to anchor ourselves in different ways that we haven't been able to do before, and to value our humanity, our common humanity, and to seek for higher purpose solutions together, as opposed to constantly opposing ourselves, polarizing our thinking and our behaviors. How do we co-create a better world from where we are now? How do we protect our children at school, our workers at work? How do we truly show compassion and empathy as leaders, and are values based in our approach to how we want to take our organizations forward, and ethical, and all of those good things that we need to see in our world today? How do we actually do this with and inspire confidence and hope at the same time and get results? Because I don't know if how you get results from people, how you get engagement from people, how you get people to be productive when their motivation is so low, when their morale is so down, when their efforts count for so little. And how do we ensure also that we are not self-centered in all of this, but that we are trying to find a way to live in service of others? So how do we raise the bar on ourselves as human beings in all of this? And I think this is a strange gift perhaps that has come to us through COVID, that is asking us to care, is asking us to show more love. It's asking us to think at a higher level than just profitability and ticking boxes of compliance. And it is taking the first step into that sort of space, even though I think it was Martin Luther King that said, taking the first step even when you can't see the whole staircase. It's really trying to forge a different way forward for humanity that I think is the opportunity here now. And it can manifest in a whole lot of different ways, in terms of how we think about who we really are and how we lead meaningful and purposeful lives beyond this situation that we're finding ourselves in. And those, for me, are the nuggets that I want to leave behind tomorrow. And I'm going to do that in a few minutes. But I try to do this. I try to weave this message through a lot of the conversations I have, because I do believe that is what is going to give us hope. That is what is going to going to sustain us into the future. And these are the lessons that we need to take from where we are. And, you know, I do believe we all come with gifts. We all are gifted and talented and have magic within us in a whole variety of different ways. And I think that we need to change our mindsets in order to fulfill this purpose that we, you know, that and release these gifts. And a lot of people have gone on to repurpose themselves, those that have been retrenched, those that, you know, because that's the unfortunate outcome of the situations that we find ourselves in. Many of them are finding joy in a whole lot of different things that they didn't think about before today. I mean, even finding the joy of having your family around you more than you might have if you were going to the office every day. Yes, it comes with its challenges. Homeschooling has been a big challenge for many people, and we've seen gender-based violence. We've seen all the negativity coming, but we've also seen a lot of people taking this opportunity to find themselves in a way and redefine perhaps what their purpose and future is.
One of the things that you say, Shirley, about you know, what you want people to get out of the conference, the richness that you speak of there has huge implications for how organizations imagine themselves. And it really makes me feel that the word human resources is inappropriate to your description, because it wouldn't sound appropriate to treat people as resources, as roles, as people affecting job descriptions. It sounds more like something's got to change around that word. What's your comment there?
I absolutely agree with that. I've long been, you know, okay, so we've gone through a phase where we call people personnel. So luckily that has found its way out of the narrative. And then we talked about people being our greatest assets. So now we are asset
Yes.
managing
Capital.
and, you know, and then we move human capital. And then we, you know, we start to treat people like, you know, like they capital, and we can capitalize on them, and we can use them, you know, even if we, you know, bordering on abuse, we can do that. But I think there's something much more and I think the companies who have figured this out are doing much better than the companies who still haven't figured it out. That within people, there is much more than just what those words and those titles and those boxes in the org chart are all about. You can get so much more out of people if you were able to connect with them at a different level, that it wasn't a purely contractual reward, you know, financial, transactional, administrative thing. It's really about how can you bring the very best out in people so that they personally want to succeed, and they want to see your business succeed, and they will take the journey with you because of how you lead and why you lead, and you know the culture that you build in your organization. And we're not only talking about your employees, we are also talking about your customers and your broader stakeholders and your communities. That energy seeps through everything that we are ultimately. And that is how we reposition our organizations to be a force to be reckoned with in the world. And it goes beyond just pure competitiveness. It's really about the role of business in society and in the world, and how we take all of our people and harness every bit of energy and light and effort that they put in. And no, we're not just looking for return on investment, you know, because that's kind of speak that that closes people down. Is really about how do you unleash the beauty and the gift and the, you know, the talent that people bring, and allow them to be holistically really the best that they can be in a place. And if you manage to figure that out and how to do that, you will go much, much further than all of the things we see happening right now, where people want to pull back and do the minimum. And then we say, well, 50% of people are disengaged in the workplace. And we got to try to do all these gimmicky things to get them back on track. And we invest a lot of time, money, and it goes backwards and forwards. But I believe there's a lot more that we can actually do to unleash the true human potential in the workplace.
Absolutely. I've got HR goosebumps listening to you. I wish all organizations would hear this, because the organization becomes a place that people live out who they are rather than seen as a resource. I love that. Thank you for articulating it so well.
If I can take us out of the HR space and back into the personal space, Shirley, I would like to, as kind of a closeout, because I can see that we're coming to the end of our time together. Just as a closeout, I'd like you to go back to that young lady, young girl on the Cape Flats, kind of caught up in a situation, and at the exact moment where you as an individual thought, I can be different, I can do different. What was it that gave you the power and the ability to know without a doubt that you could? What was that voice that said to you, I can be something different?
That's a very deep question there, Rory. And I think when I think back now and I think about conversations with my parents about, not going down the slippery slope, making something of yourself, getting your matric, and then having the teachers almost right there in my matric year saying you can do more than matric, and then having a mother-in-law clip the piece of newspaper and give it to me to say Harvard applications are open, you must pitch for this, and thinking, what makes you think I can actually do this? And people believing in me often before I believed in myself, and planting the seed. It was almost as if, there were people along the journey, and then there were also even the tragedies and the trauma of life, of seeing what was happening in our communities, of seeing the gender-based violence, of seeing the alcohol, of seeing the drugs, of seeing the impact on people's lives, and deciding as a young child that this is not what I want to actually be doing, and that I'm going to continue to learn, and I'm going to study, and I'm going to step up my game, and then even after all of a successful journey, largely in the academic and career space, we have a terrible, personal tragedy, like losing our only son, and then you have to ask yourself, what is the meaning of life? Why do we have to do this? Why do we have to go through these challenges and these difficulties? And it's I'm believing now that there are a couple of things here. The first is um, I would never have been able to pick myself up if there was not gratitude in my heart for having walked that journey, having suffered that loss. I can never get over the loss of Jamie, but I know that I have to put one step in front of the other every day. And that if my only purpose is to enable anybody else to lift themselves up from whatever devastation, rejection, loss, trauma, pain that they might be in, and helping them to say, you know what, you can put one foot in front of the other every day. Yeah, sometimes you take a couple of steps back. That's also okay. But be able to lift yourself up and put one foot in front of the other every day. If that is my purpose in life, to be this inspiration, to work around being grateful and sharing some of that energy with others, then life would, have been worth living for me. And that is what has been really, really pivotal in my life. So I haven't sort of got up and said I need to be fulfilled. I've gotten up and I've said, I'm here, and and I need to be fully here, and I need to be happy here, and I need to make a difference here. So what is it that I can do? And I think the ability to become very depressed and distressed with all the sadness in life is a reality. It's real, and it happens to us as human beings. But how do I shift that narrative and say, how can I take all the wonderful things in life, and even this tragedy, and turn it into something that can uplift other people? And that is why these conversations are so powerful. And I want to encourage you to continue to do this, because this is what the whispers are truly all about.
Well, thank you very much.
You.
I have to tell you,
Wow.
thank
That's
you.
beautiful.
So to
That's
the
so
viewers, there's your inspiration. If you're stuck in a difficult situation, doesn't matter where you are, COVID, in the pandemic, in a township, in the heart of rural South Africa, or even trapped in a difficult situation in a wealthy suburb like Bryanston, your inspiration is Professor Shirley Zinn. One step at a time, you can do it. Just put your head down and focus, and just stay positive. You can get out of it. So thank you very much. And thank you, Shirley. We really appreciated you coming.
Yeah.
Kirsten, yet again, thank you.
Oh, no, thank you, Rory. Thank you, Shirley. I just want to say, may your here-ness be even more magnified. I really so loved hearing you speak, and so loved watching the light in you just expand through this conversation. I really, really appreciate the wonderful person that you are. Thank you so much. So yes, like and subscribe and see Shirley and people who understand how powerful their whispers really are.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
You very much. And to the viewers, have a wonderful day, or evening, or morning, or whatever it is, wherever you are right now. And we'll see you in the next whisper. Thank you very much.
Thank you. God bless.
Thank
God
you
bless.
very much.
Bye-bye.
All the best.
And to you, thank you.
And to you.
Bye.
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 Bye-bye.